ABC has canceled Roseanne Barr's show, Roseanne, following a series of unhinged tweets that she shared with the world today. But this is nothing new. She has a history of unhinged tweets where she attacks people in a questionable way and also shares conspiracy theories. But let's talk about what got her fired today. So apparently she was responding to a thread having to do with the Obama administration and the CIA under the Obama administration. And in that thread, someone had mentioned Valerie Jarrett, who was one of Obama's longest serving advisors. And here's what Roseanne Barr had to say about Valerie Jarrett. Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ, meaning Valerie Jarrett. So when I first seen that tweet, this is a little bit of inside baseball, I thought she was talking about Van Jones, because I'm like, where did that come from and what's VJ, right? So I'm like, because is it Van Jones?
It could have been anyone because Valerie Jarrett was not mentioned in the article. So it's kind of out of thin blue air, right?
Exactly. So just to give you more context in regard to what sparked that random tweet, she had brought up Jarrett in response to an unrelated Twitter comment on an article which asserted that the Obama CIA had spied on the president of France. Jarrett's name is unmentioned in that piece, in that article that was shared, okay? So I didn't know this, but apparently during the Obama administration, there were all sorts of crazy conspiracy theories about Valerie Jarrett. During the Obama administration's rumors swirled on right-wing blogs that she secretly intended to promote Islam in the United States and that she once expressed her desire to make America a more Islamic country. So I was curious where those rumors started, and apparently it was a tabloid paper in the UK. And then all of these right-wing blogs would cite that tabloid paper as the source. But no one ever really questioned whether that source was legitimate in the first place.
Yeah, of course, Breitbart did and InfoWars did. That's why when the right-wing media is taken seriously, I find it hilarious. I mean, who looks at that? Valerie Jarrett's not Muslim. Who thinks like Valerie Jarrett decided randomly that she wanted to make America more Islamic? I'm not going to check on that. I'm just going to print it. That makes sense. That's just very logical. And by the way, you right wingers, even if you thought those insane things, when do we get our apology? Because it turns out you were wrong. Valerie Jarrett did not make the country more Islamic.
But it's not like they won't apologize because they don't play the same way we play. They're not looking to play fair. They're looking to smear, they're looking to defame, they're looking to spread their propaganda, and they're very effective at it. And I don't know what we're supposed to do in response to that because I don't want to stoop to their disgusting level. But at the same time, how do you continuously have this logical discussion about politics and policy when the other side is spreading crazy, malicious rumors like this?
Yeah, well, part of it, that's why I get frustrated at the so-called mainstream media because they just call everything 50-50. And so no, don't get me wrong. So Roseanne does Pizzagate conspiracy theories, and she just did one again.
She thinks that the Parkland survivors are all crisis actors.
So look, the mainstream media does call that out. They don't call that 50-50, right? But then they'll go back to considering Breitbart legitimate. They'll consider a lot of these Daily Caller, Daily Wire, these conservative publications that are proven over and over again not to state the truth, to purposely put propaganda out, etc. But they go, I don't know, maybe they're telling the truth. I mean, they'll quote insane alt-right guys. They'll use them as sources, right? And they go, no, I can't discriminate. No, you can if it's based on logic, not discriminate based on race or ethnicity or any non-rational factor. But if someone has shown over and over again that they're not attached to reality or the truth, then you should be a little bit skeptical when they come to you with a scoop or a story, etc. So they're going to do what they're going to do, but the rest of the media should not enable them.
That's right. Don't treat them as if they're, rational actors who are a legitimate part of a debate. Now let's talk about the fallout, because there was a lot of fallout prior to the Roseanne show getting canceled. So first off, Roseanne Barr got a lot of criticism and backlash on Twitter, which led to her apology. She said, "I apologize, I'm now leaving Twitter." She also had tweeted, "I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me, my joke was in bad taste."
And can I just say, look, I'm going to give her a very slight defense of her in a second, but I don't believe that apology for 1 second. That was, hey, Roseanne, you're about to lose your show and millions upon millions of dollars. Valerie Jarrett, who I've been spreading insane rumors about. Sorry, yeah, so my bad. I didn't mean it. I didn't know it was going to cost me money. When I was just smearing you, I enjoyed that. When it turns out it's going to cost me something, I did not enjoy that. I am now leaving Twitter.
No, you're absolutely right about that, Cenk, because just a few hours prior to her attacking Valerie Jarrett, she was attacking Chelsea Clinton. So I'll give you an example of that. One of her tweets said, "Chelsea Soros Clinton." Again, another crazy right-wing conspiracy theory involving George Soros, because he's this, in their mind, evil doer that every liberal is connected to. They think George Soros funds our show, which would be lovely. I mean, we are always open and willing to take that money if he wants to, but he hasn't yet.
And they'll take that. We're kidding around, right? And then they'll take that. They're like, they're asking for Soros for money on air. Can you believe what they're doing? Okay.
Cry me a river. And then she also said the following. So there was a little bit of backlash to the Chelsea Clinton tweet, and she said this in response to that backlash: "Sorry to have tweeted incorrect info about you. Please forgive me. By the way, George Soros is a Nazi who turned in his fellow Jews to be murdered in German concentration camps and stole their wealth. Were you aware of that? But we all make mistakes, right, Chelsea?" Again, another right-wing conspiracy theory. She was not really apologetic there.
So a couple of things about that one. So number one, so Roseanne Barr has like literally lost her mind, and that's my defense of her. I'll get to that in a second. But about that tweet, first of all, she says, Chelsea Clinton, sorry I made a mistake. You're not actually married to a Soros, but we all make mistakes, like Soros made the mistake of supporting Nazis. Oy. Why are you still going after Chelsea Clinton if you acknowledge she has nothing to do with Soros? Okay, second of all, Soros didn't do any of that. He didn't do that. And it's a terribly anti-Semitic attack on Soros, who's Jewish and suffered through the Holocaust. Okay, I can't imagine anything worse. But Roseanne Barr has called everybody Nazis. She had attacked people going to Israel, calling it an apartheid state, which other people do, right? Mm-hmm. But then called Jewish people Nazis. Now, Roseanne Barr grew up Jewish. And then she turned around, a dramatic turnaround, and now calls Palestinians and anyone supporting them Nazis.
Right.
Right? What? Make up your mind, right?
In 2012, she ran for president of the United States. As a third-party candidate, she identified as the candidate for the Green Party. She went on our show, which at that time was on Current TV, and I remember her coming in, and she presented herself as someone who was so radically leftist that, you know, the Democrats are not liberal enough. We need someone who's even more, progressive. I'm the Green Party candidate, vote for me. It's just the yo-yoing that's going on with her political identity is terrifying and fascinating at the same time.
No, so that gets to two more points. So I do know why this was the camel that broke the straws. That's hilarious slip up. The straw that broke the camel's back. It's because she actually attacked someone powerful. Now, look, to be fair, she's done that a little bit in the past too, okay? And maybe people just had enough, or maybe Bob Iger really, really likes Valerie Jarrett and she's even more powerful than the rest. And she is, okay? And Valerie Jarrett, and I got no love for her, and I don't agree with a lot of what she's done. I perceived a snub from her once, which was amusing. I told it in a postgame. Anyway, not a big deal. But why didn't Roseanne's show get canceled for calling Palestinians Nazis? Or did you know that when she was the extreme left, she had done some insane thing. I don't know if this is extreme left or right. I can't even tell anymore. She had dressed up as Hitler and baked cookies of people going into ovens and burning. Oh my God, Jesus. If that doesn't get your show canceled, like why is this the thing that, and this is not the first time she's made racist comments about people in the Obama administration. Susan Rice, she had said Susan Rice is a man with big swinging ape testicles. You
can say balls. She said balls, ape balls.
Okay, What? Is this a picture of Susan Rice, perfectly pleasant person who worked in the Obama administration, and you can agree, disagree, but what in God's green earth are you talking about? You can agree or disagree with her policies, but so why is Roseanne saying this crazy stuff? Which leads me to my point, which is she's mentally unbalanced, like almost clearly so. And in fact, so I went and did a little bit of research on important fact-checking organizations like Wikipedia. And
they actually do a lot of fact-checking, to be fair to Wikipedia.
They do. No, first I read articles about how some people think that she took too much drugs. Some people say she had to go to a mental facility. But according to Wikipedia, she was in a car accident at the age of 16, and then her personality changed dramatically after that, and that she did have to spend 8 months in a mental institution, okay? Now, that made me kind of feel bad for her. By the way, but that's when she was 16, so she's been like this ever since. And she got her success, even though she was in this mental state, etc. And so when you look at it through that lens, no, she's clearly unbalanced. What is this left, right, Trump's awesome, Israel's terrible, and Israel's awesome, and everybody's like this, none of it makes any sense. So, okay, so that's Roseanne, and she's attacked me with great vitriol online, right? Even though I did an interview with her, none of it makes any sense, and that's totally fine. She's unbalanced. There are people that are unbalanced in the world, but what's amazing is the people who followed her and were like, yes, you see, that's a Trump supporter. That's a real American. In fact, that insane Soros tweet that we just read you, Donald Trump Jr. retweeted it. So, but on the other hand, is his dad really that mentally balanced? I think that we're going to find out that a lot of the right wing has literally been following crazy people. Whether it's Roseanne Barr or Alex Jones or Glenn Beck, I think they all literally have mental issues, significant mental issues, let alone Donald Trump. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.